What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, September 24th, 2025, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 15:30 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Europe and from here in the US. But before I get into that major breaking news, I wanted to mention a new partner of the channel, which is Alpha Omega Gold Group. If you use the link down below in the description, you can get a free precious metals guide. Gold and silver prices are skyrocketing now, so check out Alpha Omega Gold Group. The link is in the description down below this video, and it's ao.gold/NYP. That's ao.gold/NYP for a free precious metals investor's guide. Also, I wanted to mention that I started posting a lot more to Twitter lately. So check out my Twitter account. It's at NYPrepper1. I'm posting updates throughout the day. So here you can see all of these different updates that I'm posting throughout the day. Okay, so check out my Twitter at NYPrepper1. I'm trying to build it up as a backup to YouTube. So the major breaking news is that we have U.S. nuclear forces on very, very high alert today and since yesterday. Last night and early this morning, we had the highest priority nuclear codes transmitted aside from the actual launch orders, and those are known as the Skymaster messages. We had about half a dozen of them transmitted last night through early this morning. We were covering that live all night long. Now, in addition to those high priority nuclear codes, we also had 2 stealth bombers cross the Atlantic and land somewhere in Europe. So this is clearly a sign that something is about to happen in Europe. Okay, the U.S. moving stealth bombers to Europe. We actually have an audio recording of one of these stealth bombers making radio checks as it was approaching the European continent. So I want to just play that for you.
One Charlie ready for it. Solar 1-1, check position 4-6 north, 3-0 west, 0-4-4-7. Estimate 4-4 north, 2-0 west, 0-5-4-6. Then 4-3 north, 1-9-3-2 west. Decimal 6er-9er Mach. Flight level 270. Cooler 119. Just say again your speed.
So that was the stealth bomber reading off coordinates to the air traffic controller Shanwick radio.
Solar 1-1, coming, thank you, copy 4-6-9-30 West 0447, estimating 4-4 North 20 West 0546, next 4-2 North 1-9-3-2 West, indicating Mach decimal 6-9er at level 270, is that okay?
That was just the air traffic controller known as Shanwick radio confirming those coordinates from the stealth bomber. So this is absolutely huge news. And this afternoon, right now, we have a U.S. presidential doomsday plane that just took off from the headquarters of U.S. Strategic Command in Offutt Air Base, and it's heading east towards the D.C. area. We also have 2 nuclear war command and control planes airborne this afternoon right now, and they're actually transmitting nuclear codes right now you can tune into my 24/7 live stream to listen to them. Interestingly, we had a British recon plane leave Offutt Air Base and go back to Europe. This is pretty interesting. Also, we had a strategic level reconnaissance plane fly down towards the southern border in New Mexico from Offutt Air Base. So clearly, Strategic Command wanted to have a closer look at something in Mexico and the Baja California Peninsula, probably looking at the cartels. And here we have the flight path of the nuclear war command and control plane that was airborne just south of Iceland, took off from Ramstein last night. And this was the one that was transmitting the Skymaster messages, the high priority nuclear codes. This is extremely unusual, guys. I have never seen something like this before. I've seen a nuclear war command and control plane in Europe maybe one other time, and it was off the coast of Norway. It did a very quick exercise with some submerged submarines here off of Norway. But other than that, we've never seen them actually doing Skymasters, and also the stealth bombers coming over as well. And remember, 2 days ago, we had all those Black Hawks fly from Fort Belvoir to Mount Weather, the Doomsday Bunker. Okay, so I think what's going to happen in the coming days and weeks is, if there's no diplomatic breakthrough in Europe with Russia and Ukraine and Russia and NATO, I think we're going to see a major war between NATO and Russia. I think the U.S. is going to have to get involved. I think Russia is going to attack NATO countries. They may potentially use the justification of NATO countries producing weapons that are striking deep inside of Russia. So they may strike military industrial targets in, let's say, Germany or Poland that are building missiles and drones for Ukraine, or maybe they'll strike some bases in Poland and maybe invade the Baltics. This is some very serious stuff, guys. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video. And in case you didn't hear what Trump said about Russia yesterday, he called Russia a paper tiger and basically ripped into Russia. I want to read to you his post on Truth Social, Trump doing a complete 180 on the Russia-Ukraine situation. So he says here, after getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. With time, patience, and the financial support of Europe and in particular NATO, the original borders from where this war started is very much an option. Why not? Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. This is not distinguishing Russia. In fact, it is very much making them look like a paper tiger. When the people living in Moscow and all of the great cities, towns, and districts all throughout Russia find out what is really going on with this war, the fact that it's almost impossible for them to get gasoline through the long lines that are being formed, and all of the other things that are taking place in their war economy, where most of their money is being spent on fighting Ukraine, which has great spirit and only getting better. Ukraine would be able to take back their country in its original form, and who knows, maybe even go further than that. Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble, and this is the time for Ukraine to act. In any event, I wish both countries well. We will continue to supply weapons to NATO for NATO to do what they want with them. Good luck to all. Okay, so strong words here from Trump directed towards Russia, calling Russia a paper tiger. Wow. And last night we had a Russian Air Force plane fly into Belarus. So the buildup along the border of Poland and the Baltics is continuing. We also had a large amount of reconnaissance planes in the Baltics and Finland. Here you can see a Finnish recon plane patrolling the border of Estonia and Russia. This is the first time I've ever seen a Finnish reconnaissance plane operating here. At the same time, we also had an Italian reconnaissance plane, and then there was a Swedish reconnaissance plane patrolling the border of Finland and Russia. Interestingly, shortly before the Finnish recon plane was flying along the border of Estonia and Russia, a Russian military helicopter was flying along the border of Russia and Estonia. This was a Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs helicopter, and it was hugging the border. So something's brewing over there in the Baltics. And we also had a lot of Polish military activity, a lot of Polish cargo planes flying up to the Swedish Gotland Island, reinforcing the Gotland Island. There was also a Spanish heavy military cargo plane that flew to Lithuania. There was what appeared to be a Romanian recon plane flying in northern Poland. Here we have 4 Polish cargo planes that took off from Kraków or Krakow, and we're heading north up to the Swedish Gotland Island. Very, very interesting. And Bloomberg is reporting that there is no unity within NATO regarding how to respond to incidents involving Russian drones and aircraft entering the alliance airspace. And we're hearing that as many as 8 A-10 Warthogs are now heading over to Europe from Peace Air Force Base in New Hampshire. So we got 2 stealth bombers and 8 A-10 Warthogs going over to Europe. Absolutely insane. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Trump received information from Zelensky about a planned Ukrainian offensive that would require U.S. intelligence. And interestingly, yesterday Zelensky said after meeting with Trump that he had his best meeting yet with Trump, and that Trump had very good intelligence of the front line that Ukraine needed to conduct their next big offensive. So it looks like Ukraine is preparing some kind of a surprise counterattack. And what you're looking at here is the picture of a shooter that fired into the Dallas ICE office, killing 3 detainees inside of a van, and several detainees were injured. He ended up killing himself after the shooting. And then here's a picture of his Facebook profile. He had this Soviet communist symbolism on his profile picture, which is very interesting. And Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, responding to Trump's description of Russia as a paper tiger, said Russia is not a tiger but a bear, and there are no paper bears. He also said that there is a war going on right now and we need to win it, referring to the Ukraine war. And Peskov also said something very disturbing. He said Russians are ready for an additional burden for Putin. The overwhelming majority of our country's population is absolutely united behind President Putin. This is an absolutely indisputable fact. It is well known and hardly anyone can dispute it. Those who support President Putin are ready for some additional burden under the current conditions. I have no doubt they are ready. Wow. Okay. So the Russian government basically knows or doesn't really care about their people. okay, saying that the Russian population is ready for additional burdens for Putin. Absolutely insane. And we know that Russia built up a 300,000 strong reserve force, strategic reserves of 300,000. Sounds pretty ominous, like they're preparing to invade Europe with that force. And Vance said today that if the Russians refuse to negotiate in good faith, it will be very bad for their country. That is what Trump made clear. It is not a shift in position. Vance also said that Trump has grown very confident that this war is bad for Russia. He sees the numbers. Wow. And we have some breaking news coming in from Der Spiegel. That's a German media outlet. They're saying that Russian planes flew extremely low over a German frigate in the Baltic Sea. The altitude was less than 100 meters. That's less than 300 feet. That is insane. And last night, Ukraine hit a major Russian Gazprom facility. Gazprom is Russia's major gas oil company. The Astrakhan gas processing plant of Gazprom stopped motor fuel production due to a fire that broke out at the facility on September 22nd following a drone attack. Reuters reported, citing 3 sources. According to them, the fire affected the combined stable condensate processor unit with a capacity of 3 million tons per year, which provides the production of commercial gasoline and diesel fuel. So very serious. Also, Ukraine hit a major oil port in the Black Sea this morning in Tuapse, which has now completely suspended the shipping of oil out of that port in Tuapse. Okay, major oil port being hit by sea drones of the Ukrainian military. And the U.S. is already ready today to completely replace the supply of Russian gas and oil products to Europe, said the U.S. Secretary of Energy. And what you're looking at here is a picture of a U.S. military Sea Lift Command cargo ship, the MV Ocean Trader, which is now used for special operations as a command center and mothership. Okay, so this is for U.S. Special Operations Command, for the U.S. Military Sea Lift Command as well, and it was spotted in the southern Caribbean off the coast of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Okay, so something is brewing there in the southern Caribbean. And the U.S. Secret Service on Tuesday said it had dismantled a network of more than 100,000 SIM cards that could have crashed New York's telecom network ahead of the UN General Assembly, linking the threat to nation-state actors. In addition to carrying out anonymous telephonic threats, these devices could be used to conduct a wide range of telecommunications attacks, the agency said in a statement. This includes disabling cell phone towers, enabling denial of service attacks, and facilitating anonymous encrypted communication between potential threat actors and criminal enterprises. Wow. And Spain's Ministry of Defense says one of their military planes with their defense minister on board suffered a GPS malfunction when flying near Russia's Kaliningrad enclave. Wow. And Poland will always react adequately, and it stands ready to defend its territory, said the Polish president on Tuesday at the UN General Assembly. And the U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth spoke with his defense counterpart. And the U.S. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, spoke with his Estonian counterpart and affirmed that the U.S. stands with NATO allies and that any incursion into NATO airspace is unacceptable. And Ukraine hit Russia's Salavat petrochemical facility last night with drones. And the Polish president at the UN said that Russia is a state that considers itself above the law. Russia has imperial and colonial ambitions. Russia's aggression against Ukraine is not just a regional conflict. He said the root causes of Russian aggression are purely ideological, and Russia treats entire nations as a colonial property. He said when Moscow says peace, it actually means the surrender of its enemy. Wow. And Zelensky said today that Putin is afraid to sit face to face with Ukraine and the world, and also to openly admit that he only wants war. Wow. And Marco Rubio said today that the U.S. will not allow Iran to possess nuclear weapons. And the Houthis launched an attack on Eilat in southern Israel with a drone, causing numerous injuries. And during yesterday's multinational meeting with Turkish President Erdogan and the leaders of several other Muslim countries, including Qatar, Jordan, Pakistan, Indonesia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, U.S. President Donald Trump reportedly said that he would not allow Israel and Netanyahu to follow through with ongoing plans to annex the West Bank. Wow. That is huge news there. And Qatar's Emir made a statement about Israel at the UN today. He said their goal is to destroy Gaza so that it is unlivable, where no one can study or receive treatment, and to displace its population. Netanyahu wants war for Greater Israel, to expand settlements, and to change the status quo in holy sites. Wow. And the Syrian president al-Shara said today at the UN that Israel must return to pre-December 8th, 2024 lines, and that Syria poses no threat to Israel. And Iran is reportedly rebuilding missile production sites hit by Israel in June, but lacks key planetary mixers needed for solid fuel missile production. Experts say Iran may try to buy them from China before UN sanctions return this month. And the Iranian President Pezeshkian said Iran has never sought and will never seek to build a nuclear bomb. We do not seek nuclear weapons. We will never. Interesting. And Iran released video footage showing the inside of Israel's Dimona nuclear facility. And Iran's intelligence claims it has photos and personal information about the IAEA chief Rafael Grossi and his family obtained from Israel. Interesting. And Panama's president, Jose Molino, said the Panama Canal is Panamanian and shall remain so. Wow. Absolutely strong words there directed at Trump. And the Colombian president had some very strong words to say about Trump. He said Trump fires missiles at unarmed migrant boats, calling them traffickers and terrorists, though they carry no weapons. Meanwhile, real drug traffickers live in New York and Miami, cutting deals with DEA to move drugs through Africa, Europe, Russia, and China. And he also said that Americans are addicted to fentanyl and gasoline. He also said the old societies of Europe are collapsing and the U.S. is applauding its new Hitler. He also said we need a powerful army of countries who do not accept genocide. I invite nations of the world to bring together weapons and armies to defend Palestine. Wow. Okay, so the Colombian president is calling on militaries around the world to go to Gaza to defend Palestine. Wow. And finally, we have some tropical disturbances off the coast of the U.S. We have one in particular here near Puerto Rico and Hispaniola that could potentially threaten Florida and the eastern U.S. Currently has an 80% chance of development, and the Air Force hurricane hunters are doing some data gathering from the center of this disturbance. So I'm going to monitor this situation. We haven't had any major hurricane make landfall on the U.S. at all this hurricane season, which is very strange. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on tonight with some live coverage of the nuclear codes. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice and persevere. And this update was sponsored by NYPrepper Supply. Guys, NYPrepper Supply is doing a massive sale on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. They're selling their 3-month emergency food supply for just $600, so that's $100 off the normal price. And this is 3 months of food at 2,000 calories per day. Has a shelf life of up to 25 years, and all of this is packed into 6 rugged water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. And they're also offering a disaster replacement warranty, so if your food supply gets destroyed by a natural disaster, they'll replace it for you with no charge. And they also will provide you with free survival books and information, including a natural disaster field guide, a survival Bible digital copy. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $100 off the NYPrepper Supply 3-month emergency food supply, and the link is in the description below this video.